Hello and welcome to Middle Eastern Thursday. So today we have a good old haul. We haven't had one of these in a while, and there have been so many new releases, and I have received several fragrances. I have picked up others. So I figured, you know what, we're just going to go ahead and work this today because, I just can't have all these boxes just sitting there. So today I'm going to share with you, as I said, 9 fragrances. I have some Lattafa, brand new releases. I have Paris Corner, and I also have Fragrance World / French Avenue. And if this is your first time here, so you know when I do these hauls, I am typically ready to speak to the fragrance as far as all of the details that you may be interested in knowing. But I want to let you all know that I've only had the opportunity to use these fragrances one time. So today I will be giving you all of the details of a regular review, but I'm not ready to speak to the feel of these fragrances because in order for me to speak to the feel of it, I must have used it several times and experienced different things with it. So today it's more about sharing with you what I'm picking up from the fragrances and giving you a detailed review. So let's go ahead and jump right in because we have 9 fragrances to cover. But before we do so, if this is your first time here on Arahi, and I'm your fragrance concierge because I'm totally committed to creating the best fragrance experience for you. I upload videos multiple times a week, and on this channel, we love to talk about all types of fragrances. So if that sounds like the type of content that you're interested in and like a good plan, then please consider subscribing, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget, leave a comment. Let's go, fam. All right, so let's go ahead and start. And I brought down the light a bit so that maybe you can see some of the packaging because some of these fragrances have exquisitely beautiful packaging. So we're going to go ahead and start with Genesis Scorpio, which is French Avenue. And I'm hoping that you can see the box there because it's really, really nice. And of course, then you just open the box so. And there's the fragrance, and I'm just going to hold it there so that you can see how beautiful. I mean, look at the level of detail. Absolutely exquisite. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out this fragrance, and I've told you, and as I told you, I've already had the opportunity to use each fragrance at least one time. Now, this fragrance is supposed to be inspired by Maison Margiela's Jazz Club. That's the only thing that I could find. Scorpio is one of the fragrances that are part of the Genesis collection. The French Avenue team reached out to me and asked me, which one was my sign, and I said that I was Scorpio. So they sent me Scorpio, and they also sent me Leo. So we're going to go ahead and start with Scorpio. Now, the sign of Scorpio has several stones that typically represent it, and the stones are black obsidian, topaz, opal, and tourmaline. And the only one that I was aware of, and I'm a Scorpio, was opal. But as you can see, like on the bottle, you see the level of detail. There's like a little stone, and I think that's supposed to be like black obsidian. And then look at the bottle in more detail. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share with you the notes of this fragrance. At the top, we have pink pepper, neroli, lemon, and davana. At the heart, we have rum, vetiver, and clarisage. And at the base, we have vanilla bean, tobacco, and styrax. Now, this fragrance, me being a Scorpio and all, I can honestly tell you that it does kind of embody what Scorpios are typically about, right? So we're known to be like challenge seekers and excellent lovers. I mean, that's just what Scorpios are known for. But this is a kind of like mysterious and dark fragrance. Very, very sexy, but there is like a level of mystery and darkness to it that I definitely pick up. So let's go ahead and talk about this fragrance, and I'm going to go ahead and spray it as I always do when I'm doing a haul. And I will tell you what I've been picking up on this fragrance. Let me go ahead and spray it first. Very, very nice sprayer. To my nose, the fragrance has quite a bit of vanilla. And I do pick up on the davana in the opening. Now, if you've been with me for a while, you know that I am not really a fan of davana, but here it's been done very nice, very smoothly. There's also like an aromatic quality to the fragrance that is always present and like on a backdrop of like woodiness. The fragrance is sweet and it's also boozy, not very boozy, but it is definitely boozy. And again, that aromatic quality is very, very present, almost like kind of dominant. Although the fragrance has quite a bit of vanilla because it has a ton of vanilla and tobacco, you know, there is a certain level of airiness to the fragrance, which makes it a versatile fragrance, right? So that airiness is coming, of course, from the citrusy notes, and there's like a tad, a little tiny bit of like a balsamic quality to the fragrance. But overall, this fragrance, the dominant notes for me would definitely be the vanilla and the tobacco, and that very aromatic quality overall of the fragrance. The fragrance, as I said before, it is sweet, and it is boozy, but while it is sweet, it's not very sweet to my nose. And the booziness, is like a pleasant boozy. It's not one of those fragrances that are so boozy that that you're just going to have to enjoy a boozy fragrance in order to be into it. But overall, I have to tell you that I've really enjoyed the experience with this fragrance. I haven't used it. I think I've only used it like a day and a half, because when I first received the box and I saw that they sent me this one, I was really excited. So I opened it and used it for the rest of the day. To me, this fragrance, as I said before, does truly represent Scorpios because there is a level of sexiness to the fragrance. But the interesting part is that typically when I tell you that the fragrance is sexy and dark and mysterious, I immediately default and tell you, hey, this is not for the day. This is not a fragrance that you can use during the day. But as I said before, there's a level of airiness here that makes it like suitable for daytime occasions where you just want to feel a little bit sexy without being too overboard about it. Now, is this a fragrance that I would take to the office? No, this is definitely not an office fragrance in my opinion. This is more for when you have like an event or an occasion, whether it be during the day or early evening or into late night. This is a fragrance that I think is best suitable for the ages of 25 plus. To me, it is definitely unisex. If I had to pick a lean, I can't even really pick a lean because I really think that this is truly a unisex fragrance and best suited for the seasons of like spring, fall, and winter. You could get away with it during the summer, just on not a very, very hot summer day. There is absolutely no oud. I'm not picking up on any oud nor a very relevant musk in this fragrance at all whatsoever. I'm really not picking up on musk. And I can also tell you that one of the things that has impressed me about this fragrance is that from the get-go, it has performed beautifully. It's not beast mode on my skin, but it is a fragrance that does get me throughout the entire day without having to overspray or respray. And it has a very strong projection during the first 90 minutes. And then after that, it does become a skin scent that is not very intimate, and which is the one that will allow me to get whiffs of the fragrance throughout the entire day. All in all, I really, really do enjoy and recommend Scorpio, especially if you're a Scorpio. I think this is just such a neat fragrance to add to your collection. All right, so next, let's go ahead and take a look at Genesis Leo. And this is the box that it comes in. And of course, just like Scorpio, you open it, but as you can see, the inside, like this finish here, is in like an orange, like a burnt orange. It is absolutely stunning. I don't think that the camera is really capturing and making justice to it. So the stones for Leo are supposed to be peridot, ruby, and sunstone. And if I show you the bottle, you will see that here there is like an orange little stone, and I think that's supposed to be the sunstone. I tell you, the level of detail is just exquisite in these bottles. Absolutely beautiful. I mean, but anyway, okay. So Leos are supposed to be known for their confidence, leadership qualities, loyalty, and creativity. Leo is supposed to be inspired by Opus 1144 from Filippo Sorcinelli. Now, Filippo Sorcinelli is a fragrance house that I've started to, do a deep dive on during 2025. And I have already shared with you several of his fragrances. And just yesterday, I actually had a video where I had to share with you that I had been gatekeeping some fragrances, and one of them was from Filippo Sorcinelli. Now, I have tried several of his fragrances at this point, but I've never really come around to 1844. So I will not be able to speak to how this one compares to it. And I'm really not focusing on that today. There'll be another video where I'll try to, circle back with you and tell you if these fragrances were inspired by another, allegedly, how do they really compare? But for today, let's just go ahead and appreciate each fragrance. So Leo is a fragrance that I've only had the opportunity to use one time, but I'm absolutely in love with it. Now, let me tell you the notes. So at the top, we have bergamot, orris, orange, and lemon. In the mid, we have vanilla, a gourmand accord, cashmere and black pepper. And at the base, we have amber, musk, cedar, and sandalwood. I tell you. So those notes are very interesting. And of course, from the notes alone, you can tell that this is going to at least have a touch of a gourmand quality to it. But let's talk more about it. All right, so let's go ahead and spray this fragrance so that I can tell you what I'm picking up. And then I'll give you all the details from my testing it for a full day. Very, very nice sprayer. All right. I am absolutely in love with this fragrance. I wish that this were the Scorpio, but you know what? The Scorpio is very, very lovely. It really is. It is like a strong like for me. I'm not going to say that it's a love, but this one is a love. So this is a fragrance that opens up very citrusy. But although it opens up citrusy, I really can't call it a freshie because it also has a very present woody quality to it. Like the woodiness of the fragrance is present from the get-go. And it immediately sets the tone for the level of personality and oomph that the fragrance is going to have. In addition to that, this is a fragrance that has a good bit of vanilla. It is ambery. And one thing that I wanted to make sure to not forget to tell you is that the dry down is definitely powdery. Now, there is a gourmand quality to the fragrance. Like I can get like a yumminess from this fragrance, but you're not going to smell like food. And I'm really not picking up on a scent that allows me to tell you that, oh, okay, it is a gourmand and it smells like this. No. But there is an inherent yumminess to this fragrance. I tell you, I am so happy that they sent me Leo because, absolutely loving it. Absolutely loving it. So this is a musk-based fragrance, and I would say that the musk here is like a level 3, but it's not animalic in any kind of way, but I clearly pick up on the musk. The fragrance is also sweet, but to my nose, it is clear to me that that sweetness is coming from the vanilla. I tell you, I am just absolutely, absolutely loving Leo. Absolutely. Now, this is a fragrance that I think is suitable for all ages. This is not like a fun fragrance, don't get me wrong, but it is a fragrance that at least in me evokes like a joy. As soon as I spray it or as soon as I spray it on my skin, it immediately like adds a pep to my step. It just like cheers me up in some sort of way. I don't know what is it about this fragrance, but it is truly stunning. Now at that, it is a fragrance that I think is best suited for the seasons of like spring, fall, and summer. I'm not sure that this is one that I would pull during the winter. Not because of anything, but it's just not saying winter to me when I spray it and I sniff it. It is also a fragrance that, although, I just received it not too long ago, so it hasn't had a chance to sit in my collection for months at a time, it is performing beautifully because it is giving me a full day wear to the tune of 7 to 8 hours with a strong projection during a little bit over 2 hours and a moderate sillage. This is a fragrance that I tell you, I cannot wait to use it more and then circle back with you and tell you even more about it because it is absolutely stunning. I don't know about all the others because I've only tried Scorpio and Leo, but Leo is just perfection for me. I am loving it. It's like the perfect balance between a gourmand and non-gourmand fragrance. So you're going to smell yummy. It's going to give you that feel of yumminess, like you're going to feel good. Now, the next fragrance that I have for you today is Chaos from French Avenue. Now, if you watch my Saturday morning Chatty Scent Corner videos, you know that just last week I shared, that this fragrance was coming. Of course, I had filmed the video a bit before that, and I did receive this fragrance in PR that Friday, the Friday before last week's Saturday Chatty Scent Corner. I've had the opportunity to use this fragrance one time, so I'm going to go ahead and tell you what I'm finding in it. But let me go ahead and show you when you open it. Look at that beautiful packaging. Isn't that nice? Just very, very nice. So let's go ahead and pull it out. Now, Chaos is a fragrance that's supposed to be inspired by Room 1015's Cherry Punk. And that is not a fragrance that I own, so I'm not going to be able to really tell you how they truly compare. And that's not what today's video is about either. I just want to go ahead and share with you these fragrances and treat them as standalone fragrances. But I'm just letting you know that it was allegedly inspired by Room 1015 Cherry Punk. Let me go ahead and share with you the notes of this fragrance. So at the top we have cherry and red fruits. In the mid we have iris, and at the base we have vanilla, moss, and leather. Okay, so let's go ahead and spray the fragrance and see what we're getting from it. You know, I have to tell you, the French Avenue sprayers are really, really nice. Very, very nice. Okay, so this is a fragrance that has a ton of vanilla. The interesting thing about this fragrance is that while it allegedly is supposed to be cherry-centric or red fruit-centric, while I get the cherry and I do get the red fruits in the opening, I also get a very, very strong moss note, right? From the get-go. And from the get-go, I also get a very present and dominant earthy quality to the fragrance that will be with me all throughout the olfactory journey and throughout the wear of the fragrance. Now, this fragrance does have the note of iris, so you know that the dry down is going to be at least a little bit powdery, but to my nose and on my skin, the dry down was indeed powdery. Not very powdery, not a little bit powdery, just powdery. In addition to that, the fragrance is sweet and I do get some woody notes from it, but all in all, what I really am getting is that earthy quality, a very vanilla forward fragrance that has that moss note present and that earthy quality to it. That is what I'm getting for the most part. The cherry and the red fruits I do pick up in the opening, but soon after the opening, it's not that they disappear, but they become faint and in the background. Now, all of this may be a function of the fact that this fragrance has not had a chance to sit, right? So maybe after it sits for a month or two, or, you know, whichever amount of time, I will start to see those other notes and accords pop up. But as of right now, what I'm getting is that mossy vanilla with that earthy quality sweet fragrance with a backdrop of very demure red fruits, where the cherry is, you know, is definitely the lead, but again, very faint. The other thing that I did want to make sure I tell you about this fragrance is that when I wear it, I don't know if it's my skin, but my skin is pulling that leather note. The leather note is not demure, it's not overpowering or too dominant, but my skin is definitely pulling that leather note. I can't mistake it. To me, this is a fragrance that is appropriate for 25 plus and one that you can use all throughout the year. Like in the way that I am picking it up, it is a fragrance that you can pull through any season of the year, including summer. And although we typically reserve cherry-centric fragrances for the seasons of fall, spring, and winter, this one is not giving me full-on cherry-centric fragrance. The cherry is present, but as I said, especially at the dry down, it's faint and in the background. To me, this is a truly unisex fragrance. And if I had to pick a lean, I would say that it does lean a tad to the feminine side. And it is definitely a fragrance that I think you can use for just about any occasion. Absolutely any occasion. You can dress it up and you can dress it down. Is this fragrance a love for me right now? No, it is not. I am liking it, but it is not a love. And I'm not sure that I'm actually going to love it at some point. Because even if you have the cherry come in a much more present way and the red fruits, I don't know. You know, I think it's that mossy note and the earthy quality that is forever present, and especially when I apply it on skin, that is not sitting very well with me. So I like it, but it's not a strong like, and it's definitely not a love right now. So maybe it's just not going to be my cup of tea. But if you are looking for a cherry fragrance or an alleged cherry centric fragrance that is a bit different, that has that leather note, which you are going to pull, and it has that earthy, mossy quality, then this one may be one that you may want to try. I right now wouldn't say that this is a safe blind buy because it does have that earthy quality to it that I know not many people are into, and it does have a present leather note. You are going to pick up on the fruitiness of the fragrance, don't get me wrong, but I just would not pick it up just thinking that you're going to get a cherry-centric fragrance, because that's not what I'm getting right now. As far as performance, it is a fragrance that performs very well because it is giving me a full day wear, which means that it's almost reaching that 8-hour mark without me overspraying or respraying or reapplying it. It does perform very well. It has a moderate projection though, but it has a very strong sillage. Did I receive a compliment the day that I wore it? No, I just went out and ran a quick errand, so I can't say that the fragrance has had a fair shot. All in all, I plan to allow chaos to sit in my collection for several months and see, through time how it evolves. Now, if something like that I'm not expecting or a drastic change happens at any point, of course, I am going to circle back with you and let you know my thoughts. All right, so the next fragrance that I have for you is also from French Avenue. I just decided that I was going to go ahead and just, share with you all of the fragrances that I have from French Avenue today, and then move on to probably, Paris Corner or Lattafa. So this is the last one that I have from French Avenue, and this one was also sent to me, and this one is Royal Blend Sequoia. Very, very incredibly luxurious and beautiful packaging. And you open it, and there is the fragrance, absolutely beautiful. And let's pull it out. All right. So Sequoia is allegedly inspired by Kilian's Angel Share Paradise. Now, that is a fragrance that, if I recall correctly, it was just this year that was launched, and I have a dedicated review here on the channel of that fragrance if you're interested. It was a love for me, definitely. And I'm not too much of an Angel Share person. Do I enjoy Angel Share? Do I own it? Yes. But it's not like, like I'm a fan. I think that through the years, I've just come to the point where I enjoy it, but it's not like a deep love. It's not a fragrance that I'm immediately looking to pull as we approach the fall season. But Paradise did bring something different to the table, and it was that fruity aspect. So let's talk about Sequoia. I'm not going to focus on comparing them today, but what I will tell you is that at first sniff of this fragrance, it immediately brought Angel Share Paradise to mind for sure. But in the future, I'll be sure to have a video where I compare them both for you. So Sequoia at the top has liquor and raspberry and cognac. In the mid or heart, it has rose and moss, and at the base, it has oak, sandalwood, and praline. Beautiful, beautiful bottle. Very, very heavy, very weighty. The cap is also weighty. It has a very luxurious feel to it. I am absolutely, truly loving the bottle. It feels so luxurious, and it's very heavy, and the finish is just exquisitely done. Absolutely enjoying this. So let's go ahead and spray it, and let's see what I'm getting from it. Very nice sprayer. All French Avenue sprayers are This is really, really nicely done. So this fragrance opens up very woody, sweet, and fruity. Those three accords set the tone for the experience that you're going to get with this fragrance. The fragrance is definitely warm, spicy, and I pick up clearly on the note of cinnamon. It is very present to my nose and unmistakable. Does it overpower everything else? No, it doesn't, because this blend is, I think that the name Royal Blend was very, very nicely, done, because that's really what you're getting. You're getting like a royally done blend. This is very, very nicely done, guys. Truly very, very nicely done. I have to be honest with you, I can't wait to compare it to the OG. and see what are the differences, because I have the feeling that they're going to be quite negligible. I just couldn't help it. I had to say that. But let me go ahead and go back to the accords for you. So this is a fragrance that is, as I was saying, opens up with that woodiness, fruitiness, and sweetness. At all that, the fragrance is warm, spicy, and the one spice that I'm picking up is the cinnamon. In addition to that, and most importantly, the fragrance is boozy. It's not a little bit boozy. It's not excessively boozy. It is just, in my opinion, done right. The right level of booziness to balance out with all the other notes and accords. Not overpowering, not cheap smelling. No, this is just so nicely done. Absolutely beautiful. This fragrance to my nose has no oud and no musk, and it is perfectly suited for, I would say, the ages of 25 plus, and it is a fragrance that is absolute perfection as you enter the fall season, and then of course you go into the winter and as you open the spring season, because this to me is a cool weather fragrance all the way. Now, to top it all off and to further explain my immediate love of this fragrance, because I am in love with this fragrance, this is a fragrance that performs exceptionally, because it is giving me a full day wear to the tune of 8+ hours without having to overspray or reapply it. It has a very strong projection exceeding the 2-hour mark, and it is giving me also kind of like a strong sillage. I haven't done the test of how far behind me, it trails, but I can tell you that this is a fragrance that as soon as I sprayed it, I was asked what I was wearing. So this is an immediate, it is very interesting to me. So this fragrance is the type of fragrance that I think that if you are looking for a unisex fragrance that really does not lean, in my opinion, to the masculine or to the feminine side, but it's just an absolutely exquisite blend where you have that tad of booziness, because the fragrance is boozy. It's not really that it's a tad, it's just that it's so well balanced with all the other notes and accords. It is just perfection. I am absolutely in love with this fragrance. That is all I can tell you. Right, so next I have for you Habik For Men from Lattafa, and here is this gorgeous, when I tell you gorgeous bottle, absolutely beautiful. So a fan member reached out to me a couple weeks ago to let me know that, that there was a retailer that had Habik For Men and Habik For Women. And at the time, I really didn't think that I was going to pick up this fragrance. I really did not. But I ended up picking it up because I was so curious, and the bottle is so gorgeous. So I've only received the men's version, but I do have the ladies version coming to me. So you can expect to see a review of the ladies version very soon here on the channel. Now, Habik For Men has the following notes. At the top, we have cardamom, pepper, bergamot, and artemisia. In the mid or heart, we have lavender, cinnamon, and sage. And at the base, we have tonka bean, amberwood, musk, patchouli, and sandalwood. Now, this is a fragrance that is allegedly inspired by Jean-Paul Gaultier, Le Male Essence. And that is not a fragrance that I own. My husband doesn't own that fragrance either, so I can't really do a comparison in the future for you. But for today, we are just going to focus on this fragrance and review it for you. So let's go ahead and spray the fragrance to see what I get. Very nice sprayer. Okay, so I don't know if this smells like Le Male, because again, I can't even remember if I've ever sniffed that fragrance. I probably have, because I get so many samples and I'm always sniffing around, but I can't really recall this. While this is not like a groundbreaking DNA to me, I'm pretty sure I've sniffed this or something similar or around the same realm of this. This is very nice. This to me is definitely, let me just start by saying, to me, this is definitely a unisex fragrance that leans heavy to the masculine side. Yeah, this is one that I think I would prefer to sniff on my husband than on myself. But at that, let's just talk about it for a minute. So this fragrance opened for me very spicy, and at that, warm spicy. In addition to that, the fragrance is very musk based. It's giving me like a level 3 to 4 musk, but the musk is not animalic. It's very smooth. This is very nicely done, guys. In addition to that, you are going to pick up on those purple florals for sure. Without confusing it, you are going to get clearly the lavender, which is why I guess they decided to do this gorgeous bottle in, purple. But that is basically what I'm getting from this fragrance. I'm getting a combination of like purple florals with spicy nuances on a very aromatic musk base. That is what I'm getting overall with this fragrance. But at that, I have to tell you that this is a fragrance that I will be passing on to my husband. And this is truly one that I'm going to love to sniff on him. There is a scent that I'm loving about it. There's like an elegance and a smoothness to the fragrance that's really, really appealing. The other thing that I did forget to mention is that there is the note of patchouli, and I pick up the patchouli more at the dry down of this fragrance. I did test it, and I'm not gonna lie, when I first sprayed it on skin, I could immediately tell that this was leaning heavy to the masculine side. So I only tested it like in my 2 pulse points. Typically I spray everywhere, including my clothes, but I didn't do it because this is really more masculine to me than anything. But I can tell you that this fragrance is performing very, very nicely. It did give me a full day wear with a very strong projection during a little bit over 2 hours, if not more. And in addition to that, it does have a moderate sillage. Did I get a compliment with this fragrance? No, but I really didn't step out of the house, but I didn't have, anybody ask me about this fragrance. But I can tell you that this, if you are a gentleman or if you are a lady looking for a gift for your partner or for, or for the gentleman in your life, this I think would be a very, very well received fragrance. I can definitely see how this is mass appealing. To me, this is a DNA that is quite mass appealing. And it does remind me of very, very high-end designer, masculine leaning fragrances. To me, this is pretty much a fragrance that a gent could make their signature scent. I can see someone going to the office with this. I can also see someone pulling this fragrance through any season of the year. Would I wear this to go to like the beach or go to a beach town on a very hot 90 Fahrenheit plus day of the summer? No, I wouldn't do that because there is a very strong presence to the fragrance. This is not demure. It does make a statement. It's not screechy. It's not loud. It's not overpowering. It's just right. All right. So next I have for you from Gulf Orchid, Vanilla Addiction. And this fragrance was sent to me, if I recall correctly, from the Fragrance By team. And this is a fragrance that, honestly, just looking at it, I don't know if it was inspired by anything. I did not know much about this fragrance until I received it. And what I can tell you is that this is giving me, that maybe it was inspired by Kayali's Vanilla 28, yet another one. It seems that every affordable Middle Eastern fragrance house is coming out with their own version of Kayali's Vanilla 28. So let me tell you the notes of this one. So at the top, we have Lily of the Valley, Coconut and Lavender. At the heart, we have Tonka, Jasmine and Patchouli. And at the base, we have Vanilla, Amber and Musk. So let's go ahead and spray it and I'll tell you what I'm getting. So, ooh, very nice sprayer. Very, very nice. Okay, so I realized that I did not share the bottle with you, so let me go ahead and do that really quick because it's a very, very nice bottle. Very, very nice. So let me just start by saying that this fragrance is definitely giving me Kayali Vanilla 28 vibes in a very, very strong way. The fragrance is very ambery, but you know what I am picking up on? I am picking up quite a bit on a creamy coconut. Definitely a creamy coconut. And I am getting just vanilla, the sweetness, and that coconut. Now, this is a fragrance that I only had the opportunity to test for, a full day to me is like 12 hours. And this one I only had for like 7.5 hours because I had an event to attend. So, and I was going to wear a different fragrance. So I scrubbed and showered, etc. But this fragrance did give me that amount of time with no problem. Now, this fragrance definitely has the Kayali Vanilla 28 vibes again, but at that, it is giving me a very, very strong, obviously vanilla. The vanilla is definitely the star of this fragrance, but it's also giving me like a creamy coconut. The projection of this fragrance was strong during the first 90 minutes, not more than that, but it did have a very strong sillage. And that one, I can tell you that when I sprayed this one and I wore it for a couple of hours, you know, I could tell that there was a trail, because if I would leave a room and come back, I could sniff it. And I could also sniff it on myself. And, you know, I think that the following day in, you know, the room that I typically am sitting in, which is typically this room, I could sniff this fragrance. I may be wrong, but I could sniff it. And the thing about this specific vanilla is that the coconut is very present. I keep saying that because to me, I think that once I compare it with the others, I think that that may be the marked difference, that here, or maybe it's a function of the fact that this one hasn't had a chance to sit, but I'm picking up on that creamy coconut clearly. The fragrance does have a floral aspect to it, and the one floral that I do pick up is jasmine. Am I picking up on a bouquet of florals? No, not really. I'm just picking up on the jasmine. That creaminess that comes from the coconut could also be a function of the patchouli, right? I don't get necessarily much patchouli. What I'm getting is a creamy coconut, but that creaminess, you know, that creaminess that I'm getting in the coconut could also be part of the patchouli. The fragrance is definitely musk based, but the musk, I would say, is between a level 3 and 4, but it's not animalic. So you are going to pick up seriously on the musk. Is this like an overpowering musk and obnoxious? No, but it is truly a musk-based fragrance. There's also like a certain hint of yumminess to the fragrance, and I think it's a function of the tonka, because there is like a vanilla caramelly kind of effect going on, and I think that that's because I'm picking up on the tonka. But overall, the big star of this fragrance is the vanilla. Definitely the vanilla with some presence of florals, that bit of yumminess coming from like the caramel, and that coconut. That coconut almost wants to be the star along with the vanilla of this fragrance. But again, it may just be that it's pulling that way on my skin, and I'm picking it up that way on my nose because it has not had a chance to sit. Maybe as it has a chance to sit, the coconut will take more of a backseat and allow the vanilla to be the complete star of the fragrance. Because right now, at times I have wondered, like, is that the coconut trying to peep through? Anyway, but overall, this is a very nicely done vanilla fragrance that I think has a ton of potential, but I just think it needs to sit. All right, so next I have for you from Paris Corner, Perseviron, and here is the bottle. Now, this is a fragrance that I discussed with you during a recent Saturday morning Chatty Scent Corner video, and I shared with you that this was sent to me a while back, so before the official launch. I think it has been launched, I'm not sure, but I'm sharing it today. And let me go ahead and share with you the notes before we get into this fragrance, because I have quite a bit to say about it. So this fragrance has at the top cinnamon, cardamom, and bergamot. At the heart or mid, it has praline, whipped cream, and orange blossom. And at the base, it has guaiac wood, vanilla, and dry wood. Now this fragrance is supposed to be inspired by Parfums de Marly Altair. Now that is a fragrance that I own. But what I want you to remember is that Altair was initially launched by Parfums de Marly as part of the male or masculine line. But interestingly enough, I tried it, I fell in love with it, I use it to this day. I think it is an exceptional fragrance. And when I sprayed this one, it did immediately remind me, it gave me some serious vibes of Altair. But this fragrance definitely has a twist. And while I'm not going to spend a lot of time today, you know, comparing this one to the OG, I do need to let you know a couple of things about this one, okay? So the twist in this one is that while you are going to get that Altair DNA for sure, I can tell you that this one is less lactonic and less musky for sure. Because when it comes to Altair, that lactonic quality is very, very dominant and present. and it is also a very musky fragrance. While this one is musk based, the musk here is no more than a 3, while in Altair, to me, the musk is almost like a level 5. The other thing that I wanted to let you know, because there's quite a number of fam members that struggle with ambroxan, is that it seems that they removed the note of ambroxan from this one. It has not been disclosed as such, but I'm also not picking up on the typical qualities of ambroxan. So when ambroxan is present, there's a certain level of woodiness that is very present. And in Altair, I pick up the woodiness very heavy, and I definitely pick up ambroxan. Now, for those of you who don't own or have tried Altair, I'm going to go ahead and spray this fragrance so that I can speak to what you're going to get from the fragrance. I'm going to speak to the accords. So this is a fragrance that opens up sweet and with a ton of vanilla. Like the vanilla, the opening in this fragrance almost makes you believe that the fragrance is going to be all about the vanilla. But here's the thing. If you've ever sniffed Altair, you are going to know immediately that there is a serious Altair vibe to this fragrance. There is also a good amount of woodiness that comes in the opening of the fragrance. And as the journey continues, you are going to get quite a bit of spiciness. To my nose, there's a very present cinnamon. It's just there, and you can't avoid it. But at all that, there's a touch of a citrus quality to the fragrance, like citrusy, and some presence of florals. But the florals are not the stars of the fragrance. Maybe when this one has had a chance to sit for many months or more time in general, it will start to, you know, reflect those florals more and more. But right now, the florals are not the stars. They're not faint, they're present, but they're not like in a leading role in any kind of way, at least not to my nose. The fragrance is definitely lactonic, and it is musk based, as I said before, but this one is a very smooth musk, right? It's like a smooth musk, like to the tune of 3, not animalic in any kind of way. So the fragrance does have oud, but the oud that I'm picking up is so light. It's like a level 2. And if you're not used to sniffing oud, you may not even pick it up, because the fragrance focuses more, again, on that vanilla and the lactonic quality and the sweetness and that woodiness. That's really what this fragrance is really about to my nose and on my skin. I'm very happy to say that this one is performing very well, because it is giving me like a 7-hour day without having to overspray, you know, closer to the 8-hour mark, but really not making it. So it's more like 7. And it does have a very strong projection during, I would say, the first 90 minutes. And then it does also have a very moderate sillage. All in all, this is a fragrance that I am really loving, and it's because it is giving a twist. Now, this fragrance was sent to me, by the way. If they wouldn't have sent it, I probably would have not picked it up if I would have known that it was inspired by Altair, because I own the OG. And if I recall correctly, there's been a couple of other affordable Middle Eastern fragrances that have been launched, you know, allegedly inspired by Altair. So how many more am I going to pick up, right? But I'm really happy that the Paris Corner team sent me this fragrance, because this is a beautiful twist. Like, it's truly a twist. It almost makes it smell a bit different. Okay, so next I have for you 2 fragrances that I have to tell you, I am so impressed, and I haven't heard anybody talk about these 2 fragrances. I don't know, maybe, anyway, I don't know, but I am so happy that I did pick them up. I was just very curious. So the first one is, they're both from Lattafa, and the first one is King of Arabia. And this is the gorgeous box that it comes in. And then you open it, and there you have the fragrance. And as you can see on this side, there's like 4 travel size vials. And then let me tell you the fragrances that they include. So this one is Dura, then they have Classic Stone, Zirka, and Rimas. And curiously enough, I own 3 out of those 4 fragrances, and one has been in my cart forever, which is Dura. But I do have Classic Stone and Zikra and Rimas. You guys know how I love Rimas. I've been talking about Rimas for years, forever. But let me go ahead and pull this bottle out of here so that I can show it to you, because this is just beautiful. So this is the bottle. Isn't that gorgeous? Absolutely gorgeous. And look at that cap. It's like a crown, right? Because the name of the fragrance is King of Arabia. So I'm assuming that, that's why they have that crown on there. This is absolutely stunning. So let me go ahead and share with you the notes. So the top notes are Indian oud, Cambodian oud. Middle notes are ambergris, musk, saffron, and amber. And at the base, we have cloves, leather, and Thailand oud. So let me go ahead and spray it, and let's talk about this fragrance. Very, very nice atomizer. Oof. Okay, so in doing my research, I found that this fragrance, I don't know if it's that there was an original version in a different bottle or something, but I found that this fragrance was launched in 2010. And although the name of the fragrance is King of Arabia, this is a fragrance that is specific or is designed for ladies and gents. So it's very much a unisex fragrance. And I have to say that I totally agree. This is a fragrance that opens immediately with oud. Now, do you have to enjoy the note of oud in order to appreciate and enjoy this fragrance? Absolutely. The oud here is to the tune of a level 4 to 5, but the thing about the oud in this fragrance is that it is not barnyardish in any way. By the way, so this fragrance and the one that's coming up next are both part of the Lattafa Pride collection. I don't know if this fragrance was inspired by anything. I don't really care. It's an exquisite fragrance. I am loving it. I just hadn't heard anything about it and I hadn't seen it. Maybe it's just me. Probably it is. But, I am so glad that I picked it up. So the oud here, while it is very, very present and pretty much dominant throughout the olfactory journey, at the dry down and throughout the wear, it is a very nicely done oud that, while not being completely smooth, because it is very strong and intense and it's a powerhouse, which we'll talk about in a minute, it is an oud that is not really animalic or barnyardish in any kind of way. The other thing that you need to know is that this is a very ambery fragrance, where you have an ambergris that is very, very present also. So you have those two notes, oud and ambergris, which are not demure in any kind of way, that together are indeed playing very nicely, but which make a very powerful statement in this fragrance. I would have to say that if there is a fragrance from the ones that I've shared today that really pull that Middle Eastern presence, it is King of Arabia for sure. In addition to that oud and the ambergris, there's also the note of leather. Now, the leather is a note that does come across here, but it's very, very smooth. I barely pick it up. For me, the fragrance is more about the oud primarily, followed by the ambergris. There's a certain degree of spiciness to it. It is warm, spicy, and it is very ambery. But that is what I get from this fragrance. This is a fragrance that on my skin is definitely a beast mode fragrance. And I'm going to repeat that this is truly a unisex fragrance. If I had to pick a lean, I would say that it leans a tad to the masculine side, but truly, I don't think it leans in any direction. I think that this is very much a unisex fragrance, and one that I think is best suited for the ages of 25 plus and the seasons of like spring, fall, and winter. I don't think that this is a fragrance that I would pull at all during the summer season. It's just, to me, you're going to get the most out of this fragrance during a cool weather day. As far as performance, this is wow. This is truly beast mode on my skin. It does give me approaching the 10-hour mark without having to overspray or reapply it. And it does have a very strong projection that exceeds the 2-hour mark, and then it becomes a scent bubble, and that lasts for I don't know how long, but it lasts like forever. And then it becomes a skin scent, not even an intimate skin scent. It becomes a skin scent towards the end of the day. All in all, this to me is another hit from the Lattafa Pride collection. And I am loving that when you pick up the fragrance, it comes with 3 other vials of 3 other Lattafa Pride fragrances that are actually exquisitely done, because I love all of them. I haven't tried the one that I told you, Adura, but I am going to pick it up because now I'm very, very curious, because I did have a chance to sniff it. So the next and last fragrance that I have for you today is Queen of Arabia. And look at this gorgeous box. I just don't think that I'm going to be able to let go of this box because this is just absolutely gorgeous. And of course, then you open it much like we did with King of Arabia, but here there is the gorgeous bottle, and then there are the travel vials. And let me tell you what this one includes. This one has Pisa, Shaheen, Dream of Haze that you guys know I'm obsessed with. So now I'm going to have to get Shaheen and Pisa. And then there's one that's called La Collection 1886. And I don't own those three, but I am certainly going to pick them up. So stay tuned for reviews of those fragrances. But let me go ahead and pull the bottle out of this one. And here's the exquisite bottle. Isn't that beautiful? Absolutely beautiful. And look at the cap. And one thing I forgot to tell you when we did King of Arabia is that the bottle is very luxurious feeling, and it's very heavy, very weighty, and the cap is not a cheap cap. There is a little bit of weight to it, but it doesn't feel cheap in any way. This is just a work of art. But you know, don't you find that to be the case with most of the Lattafa Pride fragrances? Like, the bottles are just incredible. So I don't know when this one was launched. I couldn't find that anywhere. I don't know if it has been inspired by anything, but we're going to go ahead and talk about it today anyway. So let's go ahead and spray it so that I can tell you what I'm getting from this fragrance. This is such a beautifully done fragrance. So let me tell you the notes. So at the top we have ylang-ylang, nutmeg, and grapefruit zest. At the heart or mid we have jasmine, rose, and white florals. And at the base we have vanilla, amber, and soft woods. So this fragrance is, to me, an ambery floral fragrance because it comes across to my nose as very ambery and with quite a bit of florals. I am getting a white florals bouquet. And within that, I don't have any one that sticks out. I know that they have disclosed the note of jasmine as being more dominant than the white florals, but I'm just getting white florals. I'm not picking up on any specific white floral that is taking the lead over all the others whatsoever. In addition to that, there is a level of airiness to the fragrance without being a freshie that makes it a versatile fragrance. To me, this is one that you can pull for any season of the year, for any occasion, day or night. You could make this your signature scent. You could bring it to the office, just for anything and everything. This is one of the most versatile fragrances I've sniffed in a long time. Now, in addition to those white florals, I'm also picking up on yellow florals. And am I getting the ylang-ylang more than anything else? Yes, I am. To me, actually, the ylang-ylang takes a lead role even over the white floral. So the ylang-ylang is like the star of the florals in this fragrance to me, followed by the white florals bouquet. And I don't pick up much of the other yellow florals though. The other thing that I'm loving about this fragrance is that there is a woodiness always in the background, which adds some character to the fragrance so that it's not just like a floral fragrance. But what's also interesting to me is that this is a unisex fragrance that does lean to the feminine side, in my opinion, while the King of Arabia one to me was totally unisex, period, right? But this one definitely, in my opinion, leans a tad to the feminine side. Can I see a gentleman wearing this fragrance? Yes, I can. I say, again, wear whatever you want, how you want, and when you want. I have not had a chance to use this fragrance several times, as I told you in the opening, but I can already tell you that this is a very elegant and sophisticated feel kind of fragrance. There is an ease to the wear of this fragrance that I can't even explain. I am really loving this fragrance. I am loving both of these fragrances. I don't know, but lately I seem to be like on a roll when it comes to Lattafa Pride. And this one is no exception. The performance of this fragrance is stellar because while it's not a beast mode fragrance like King of Arabia, it is giving me a full day wear to exceed the 8-hour mark with a very strong projection during the first 2 hours and a moderate sillage. This is a fragrance that when I sprayed it, my husband noticed it immediately and did ask me what I was wearing. Overall, I am very, very impressed with both King and Queen of Arabia. But this one, this is just, I'm just so loving this one. Anyway, let us know if you've tried King or Queen of Arabia. Alright, so we've reached the end of today's video, and I am hoping that this was enjoyable for you because this was quite a bit of fun for me. I am looking forward to wearing some of these fragrances a bit more, and of course, if I find anything different than what I've shared with you today, I will circle back and let you know. Please let us know in the comment section if you've tried or if you own any of these fragrances and your thoughts. How are they performing on you? What do they make you feel? You know, do you get compliments? All of that good stuff. Anyway, thank you so much as always for hanging with me today, and I will see you all in the next video.